So here's one from Clefla Fan. So remember the Ben 10 Nano face-off in the original game? I like something like that to return in retro as well. It was a fun way to let the community decide who would be the next Nano joining in the game. And that would actually be really cool. So there are, there's a huge problem with the voting is that votes can easily be rigged. So in order for a vote to be counted is if we were to have a poll on the forums and a person were to place their poll, were to place their vote onto the forums. So this would work in a way because all of the votes can be public, and like the CTs can make sure that all of the votes are valid, and that these votes were not made after the polls were open, because polls can very easily be rigged. And I suppose like a minimum requirement is that the accounts need to be at least registered for 30 days, and they need to have at least 10 posts on the forums just to go see, oh, this person is like, oh, this person's first ever post was on this poll. Need to have at least like 10 posts on the forums that are not recent, as well as having an account that is at least 30 days old that can be eligible to cast a vote, to prevent it being rigged. And you know, the problem here is that if you were to go make 10 posts, right? Like let's just place yourself in the perspective of the cheater who wants to rig the poll. So like they make 10 posts, but the problem here is that they're actually violating terms of service because they're not allowed to use your other accounts on the forums. You're only allowed to use your primary account. Also, I don't know if it's possible or not. And you know, so that's a way to prevent a poll from being rigged. Having these polls included inside of the game would be really nice because it would really engage the community. And imagine that the devs were to already predetermine like what nanos should be added. So let's just say, which nano do you guys want? Do you guys want Finn from Adventure Time? Do you want Steven from Steven Universe? Or do you want Cheese from Foster's Home Imaginary Friends? So like whoever wins, right? Let's just say that Finn wins, right? And Steven Universe gets like a close second, and you know, Chowder or Cheese, they don't. Let's just say this is how the votes work. Adventure Time wins by like, yeah, so that would be great because it would allow people to participate in the community and something to actually really look forward to. So like the devs would introduce us like 5 nanos or 3 nanos, and we would vote on which ones should be added, and the devs were to give us a list, like, and devs were to go give us their predetermined powers, right? And this would allow the future to be commanded by the community. And nothing is greater when the community and the developers are closely interacting with each other. Also, I don't know if it's possible or not, but can you buff nano powers? Yeah, I already talked about that. Yeah, so more really awesome nano missions, yes. So like devs, please double down on that. Oh, and I forgot to add, make more contests like the art and writing contest. I absolutely loved all the artwork and stories the community made. And it makes me want to write even more FusionFall stories than ever before. Yeah, I do agree with that. I think these contests should be done once a year. As like what Alice Mexican stated, like the devs need to have some form of community-wide events. However, the problem here In their perspective, in their perspective, is that community events, they take a lot of organizing and they take a lot of time away. Where it can actually, whereas that time instead could just be used for developing the game, and so therefore they should just allow the community figures, such as like myself and like Elos Mexican, to just do the FusionFall events instead. But it's kind of understandable in their perspective. Maybe a monthly or bi-monthly calling all designers contest to get the first and second place winners designs added, and the buddy list would be more useful if it was online first and alphabetical. Yeah, I do agree with you with that. Monthly or bi-monthly, I'm not sure about winners, but let's just say that the item is determined by, like, if a lot of people want it, right? And it can be proven, like, for example, if they were to go post it on YouTube and it gets a lot of likes, or if, for example, they were to go post it on the FusionFall subreddit and if it were to go get itself a lot of upvotes. Like, for example, like I remember posting on the FusionFall subreddit my dear friend Lumpy's design. It got 70 upvotes, and this is something that a lot of people would like to go see. You know, that's some way to sort of quantify how items could be added inside of the game. Because as of right now, the two items that were added inside of the game would have to be Dietrich's, as well as Chem's designs. So this one right here is from my dear friend Radio Rave. This is a very long post, but I want to give everyone, or just mostly everyone, their fair chance with this, because one post can have their own video dedicated for them. Alright, so FusionFall Retro has been out for over a year now, and the developers have not failed to bring new content to the game, including, at the time of this post, a planned Time Squad Part 2 update, as well as an expansion that will hopefully come in the coming months. However, what we've gotten a taste of in these updates are dungeon-like places. We've already gotten Mega Fusion Echo and the Spire. However, these dungeons have been mastered as well, as the Spire being for the 2019 Canismus update. Although there is so much more potential for these types of areas, especially with the assets already at the developer's fingertips, in this post I plan to offer new ideas for dungeon experiences that I personally believe could be interesting and fun. Okay. In this thread, I'll be talking about two of my dungeon ideas, as well as my thoughts on what I think is a really cool dungeon idea. A Malware Muck. It is a dungeon based on Ben 10's upgrade. Okay. This dungeon would feel like a combination of the ship's interior and nostalgia chip data world. Yeah, okay. Kind of reminds me of Computerist. Ship has taken up residence on the Forsaken Valley carrier. He is supplying a temporary lab for plumbers researching the fusions that take after the aliens and the Omnitrix. However, a specimen of Fusion Upgrade dubbed Fusion Downgrade, nice, has escaped containment with the Fusion ship. Downgrade has taken up residence up inside a large Fusion ship somewhere in Hunter's Crest. Players have to earn firewall crackers. Ooh, okay. To access Fusion's ship. They can do this by finding and destroying Fusion signal jammers. So, you know, before I continue, this is a great idea. However, at the top of my head, I'm like saying, like, we don't need any more FusionFall Ben 10 content. There's just so much representation of Ben 10. It's just, you know, it's just ridiculous. Like, if we were to go into Cartoon Collection, a document that I personally made where it just documents all of the, you know, all of the items, all of the Cartoon Network related items inside of the game, you know, like, Ben 10 has just so much representation inside of the game that we honestly do not need any more Ben 10 gear at all, like, for a very long time. But the premise of this is already very interesting. I don't want to go downplay that, but I think if we would have because they already have a Ben 10 Fusion Echo dungeon, Why not like a Adventure Time dungeon instead, or something else? But let's just continue reading this. Now, for the interior of Fusion's ship, it would basically be black and red. Of course, with some sort of fusion texture thing, since this is still an unstable fusion. Players will have to fight small fusion ships as well as maybe enemies that are the regular boy-girl player model with fusion textures wearing a black and red version of the upgrade for you set. Along the way would be small platforming challenges to keep yourself on your toes while being chased by enemies. However, the final challenge awaits past the door of downgrade. Okay. Okay. It was a long thing. Once entering Downgrade's room, you would not be instantly attacked. Take your time to evacuate the room. Once you attack Downgrade, he is able to use the stun special ability to downgrade you. Okay. Which just means stun is normal. He also uses a large eruption circle, as well as normal long-range fusion attacks for his regular moves. Each time you kill him, some fusion upgrade for you characters would be spawned and will attack you. Your goal now is to use a cannon to another part of the room with fusion downgrade again. This time is the last time you'll attack, and once killing him, you now have to kill the mine behind the ship. Literally, Fusion's ship. Fusion's ship is inside the ship to minimize external damage. Now his head is just on a command pedestal where you must attack him and try not to get distracted from enemies swarming in. Once you kill Fusion's ship, you can now leave the lair and you have completed the dungeon. Okay, so that's really cool. For rewards, you can now get downgrade crates from the Fusion bosses and enemies featured in his lair. So these crates features new recolors and items such as Fusion, as well as non-Fusion version of the upgrade for you set, and upgrade beanie, a Fusion as well as a non-Fusion ship, a shoulder buddy, and more. Yeah, that would be really cool. More Ben 10 representation for FusionFall, Ben 10, and friends. Yeah, so I think in order for themselves to actually improve the Ben 10 update, Fusion Echo dungeon is for themselves to make the crates not guaranteed. So like I think there's like 7-9 Fusion Echoes that you have to defeat, and every time you go inside, the crates are all guaranteed. So I think a better way to do that is actually in fact reduce those odds to like you get 1 crate per entry, or like 3, or like half the crates per entry. Like they've already nerfed Fusion Echo right now, so I think if they were to do this and not introduce guaranteed crates, then that would be fantastic. Or another way is, for example, they would add in the drop rate similar to the Halloween 2019 event, where you really have to go work to go get those exclusive items. So we have ourselves Absolute Power. Absolute Power is a dungeon that is based on the power room of a Crast Absolution. The power room of Absolution has been taken over by Fusion Downgrade and Fusion Tom to create a device to mechanize normal terrafusers. This was actually the original idea for terrafusers to be machines. Okay. And possibly increase fusion production. After the crash, a part of the Absolution's control room has been exposed for players to enter. A helpful Clyde, or maybe Sarah, is there to explain the situation and however a new mission to walk you through the creation of the dungeon. As mission goals, you have to kill Fusion Clyde, which are roaming outside the Absolution now. There are large packs of them all around the crash site, as well as a few inside the Absolution. They drop new codes to enter on the power room key code panel, since Fusion Downgrade has the key code constantly changing. Once entering the first part of the power room, electric sparks are everywhere, with fusion vines as well as some fusion layer tentacles coming out of some areas. You can shoot these tentacles to have a chance to get the new crate for this dungeon. Tsunami creature. Okay, this is a long read. It's a good idea. I know Gamma. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, this is something that would be really super duper cool to see inside of the game. The suggestions here are fantastic. Now the problem here is I think Lumpy could have gotten a much more attention if he actually posted this inside of the general thread. But for him to post this inside of FanWorks, that would be fantastic as well. This honestly deserves its own video. Huge shout out to Lumpy for this one right here. And his drawing skills are really good. And in fact, he actually takes commissions if you really want to go get his work. But that one deserves its own dedicated video. So he has these items right here. We don't really need any more Benton items, but this is great. Yeah, adding the Tom set would be fantastic as well. And yeah, that's just some more items as well.